past week, I traveled to Washington, D.C. to take part in the White House Summit on Human Trafficking in honor of the 20th anniversary of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. People from across the nation came together to hear from senior administration officials, state and local elected officials, tribal government, and community groups to celebrate successful approaches to combat human trafficking and to discuss the incredible challenges that remain before us. The Trafficking Victims Protection Act was enacted in 2000 under the Clinton administration and has been reauthorized 5 times with strong bipartisan support. It lays out the national framework for the federal response on trafficking, focusing on the 3 Ps: prevention, protection, and prosecution. The United States has declared 2020 as the year of freedom first, recognizing that human dignity, autonomy, and freedom are essential to exercising our rights and liberties, and that freedom to the millions of people being exploited through trafficking must remain one of our top priorities as a nation. I was very conflicted about whether to go to the White House to participate in this summit. It's no secret that we live in a time of unprecedented partisanship and destructive politics, and I was well aware of the criticism I would receive because of how some people feel about this president. But as I thought about the fact that I was potentially avoiding participation in favor of political expediency, I thought about the resilience of people like Jamie Johnson. And I was quickly reminded that I was elected to do a job, and I will work with everyone to ensure that I'm doing everything in my power to prevent and protect more youth from being lured into this horrific industry. It is hard to believe that San Diego is home to a vile and thriving sex trafficking industry that rakes in nearly $1 billion in revenue each year and involves 12,000 victims and survivors in our own backyard. The average age of the victims, 15 years old. The fact is, if we don't come together united across every level of government with both the public and private sector to address the challenges that are before us, more children will be exploited every single day. I can't sleep well at night knowing that. Can you? We know that the dangerous online predators are luring and recruiting our children through the internet and through their mobile devices. They are exploiting children through online content and chat rooms. At the federal level, I'm advocating for stronger intervention to help regulate these channels and allow for information sharing with law enforcement so that they can deliver justice and protection. If it's a crime offline, it's a crime online. We must have a coordinated response that allows law enforcement to efficiently identify and protect victims, swiftly prosecute the predators, and ultimately eradicate the exploitation of children online. An immediate threat to our public safety are these online sites moving to encrypt all data. If this happens, law enforcement will be encrypted out of pursuing these dangerous online predators. I am pleased to announce that the federal government has made a commitment of an additional $42 million in this budget cycle on top of the $200 million that Congress has already appropriated. This, of course, to combat human trafficking. There will be additional funding to enhance the investigative and prosecutorial capacity of the Department of Justice. There will also be additional grant funding dedicated to state and local efforts to prevent human trafficking and for rehabilitation of survivors. I have 3 children of my own, and I'm keenly aware of the dangers that exist online. But even armed with this knowledge, it absolutely terrifies me. I'm pleased to announce this past month I brought forward and the Board of Supervisors approved a $100,000 grant to fund Humans Against Trafficking to further develop their AI software that will help parents identify their child's online vulnerability. Locally, we've done an incredible job working together to fight human trafficking throughout our region. Our law enforcement agencies and the county work closely with our dedicated nonprofit partners to focus on prevention and rehabilitation. Despite our coordinated efforts, many challenges remain, including increased capacity for safe housing for those rescued from exploitation. This past summer, I received unanimous support from my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors to allocate $2 million to purchase a home to be used for safe emergency shelter for minors who are rescued from trafficking. It is hard to believe that only 15 emergency beds exist today in our region for minors, forcing families to seek help out of state and sometimes even out of the country. I will continue to make this a top priority of mine and will fiercely advocate for resources for prevention, education, and long-term rehabilitation. I am calling upon our state legislators today for their immediate help and support. We need critical changes to our legislation that allows us to protect our foster youth overnight the same way we would protect our own children. It is unacceptable that we cannot prevent our foster youth from walking out of our facilities. I started at the highest level by first placing a call to the governor. To date, this call remains unreturned. I next took things to the local level and met with Assembly Majority Whip Todd Gloria. Although he did actively listen to my concerns, here we are a year later with zero engagement or action on this issue. Recently, I met with Assemblywoman Tasha Berner Horvath and begged for her help. Her response? I'm too busy. She stated she was already pursuing too many pieces of legislation. This was not a priority. Today, I'm calling on all of our state officials again to make this issue a top priority. Our district attorney, Summer Stephan, is one of our nation's top law enforcement officers who is bringing these perpetrators to justice and committing resources to support survivors as they rebuild their lives. We're very proud of the work of our DA, Summer Stephan. Summer has spent her entire career in the pursuit of justice and fighting for those who have been exploited. I look forward to our continued collaboration, and it is now my honor to introduce our district attorney, Summer Stephan.